Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Women in Leadership Luncheon. My name is Rick Wilson. I'm the President and CEO for the San Diego Regional East County Chamber of Commerce. And we just wanted to thank you all for being a part of the program today. In light of COVID, the Women in Leadership Committee has worked diligently these past few months to transition our signature recognition event from an in-person experience to the virtual one we have today. We are grateful you're here, and we hope that you enjoy the program today. And now, please help me welcome our Women in Leadership Chair, Christine Costa, to the stage.
Well, hello, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 18th year of Women in Leadership. It's fantastic to have each and every one of you here with us today. Thanks for joining us virtually. My name is Christine Costa, and I am the chair of Women in Leadership. While this is my first, and hopefully my last, virtual event, I've had the privilege of chairing this event for the past 3 years. This year marks our 18th year of this signature event. It's pretty incredible to think what this event has grown into today. For the past 17 years, we've recognized some incredibly deserving women for their stellar leadership and their selfless dedication in serving their communities. And these extraordinary leaders are truly what we need this year, now more than ever, with this global pandemic that we are currently facing. COVID-19 has completely changed our daily routines. Like many of you, I've been working remotely from home since March, with a freshman, no less, in high school, participating in distance learning as well. And what a journey it's been in 2020. I mean, are we having fun yet? In all seriousness, we've had to learn to adapt to these uncertain and unprecedented times, including right here at the Chamber. Many of our events have been canceled or they're being held virtually, like today's event. In a perfect world, we would be enjoying this celebration in person, recognizing some phenomenal women leaders for their selfless dedications in bettering our community. The reality is, 8 months later, we are still in the middle of this pandemic. We could have postponed this event altogether and just waited until next year, but the committee felt strongly about finding a way to celebrate women, to share a message of inspiration and empowerment with all of you. So here we are, zooming right on into the Women in Leadership Luncheon of 2020. How amazing is this set? We are so grateful for the opportunity. Today, we'll take this opportunity just to be together and celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which granted the women the right to vote. To hear a fabulous keynote speaker delivering an inspiring testimony, and to celebrate all of the women in leadership recipients from the past 17 years, all 101 of them. Now, before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to thank our elected officials and distinguished attendees who have joined us today. Tuning in, we have County Supervisor Diane Jacob and retired San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman. We are honored to have you both with us today, and we applaud you for your service. I'd also like to take a minute to express my sincerest appreciation and gratitude to a few more important people. This event would not be possible without the countless hours given by the Chamber's Women in Leadership Committee. I'd like to thank Kaylin Gonzalez, Melissa Kimmery, Rachel Marani, Bridget Cobbs, Denise Cellular, Maureen Shin, and Susan Robert Egley. I'd also like to give a special thanks to our President and CEO, Rick Wilson, and our fabulous, she is fabulous, guys, events director, Tanya Bradna. Thank you for all of your efforts in making our virtual event such a success today. So as part of today's events, you all should have received a Women in Leadership swag bag. Inside of that bag is an opportunity drawing, and we have some fantastic prizes to give away to you guys today. They're valued at over $4,000. So let's start this off with our first raffle. Opportunity drawing, that is. Pull out your ticket and let's get it going. So our first giveaway is for 2 family 4-pack to the San Diego Air and Space Museum. At the winner there? Here's for the 4-pack to the San Diego Air Space Museum. Thank you, sir. The winning number is 495400. Once again, it's 495400. Now, if you're holding this winning ticket, please take a picture and email it to the chamber at events@eastcountychamber.org. Again, that's events@eastcountychamber.org. Send over the picture along with your contact information to claim your prize. All the prizes will be delivered to the winners after the event. There you go. Thank you, sir. We have 4 other prizes to give away, so make sure you keep your tickets handy. Throughout our program, we'll be reminding you of the winning ticket numbers, and if there's unclaimed prizes at the end of the event, we're going to draw new tickets. So hang on to them, keep them close, and stay tuned. Now let's get this thing started. We have an incredible Mistress of Ceremonies hosting our event today. A highly respected and well-known broadcast journalist, Lauren Finney. During the week, you can catch Lauren as the morning news anchor for Good Morning San Diego on KUSI. Lauren grew up in Simi Valley, California, and attended Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, where she graduated magna cum laude. For nearly 2 decades, Lauren has been a reporter and anchor in markets all across the country, working from stations in Montana to Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles, most recently in Tampa, Florida. She's received several awards for her reporting, and in 2012, she received the Rising Star Award from the Florida Broadcasters Association. Lauren is passionate about health and children's issues and has served on numerous nonprofit boards throughout her career. When she's not anchoring the news, she loves to find adventure through traveling, hiking, and scuba diving. Lauren and her husband, Brian, live in San Marcos with their son, Weston. What an incredible honor it is to have her with us today, right after her morning show, no less. We are so grateful that she is here. Please help me give a warm welcome to our Mistress of Ceremonies, Lauren Finney.
Thank you, Christine. Always awkward to hear your own bio, right? Good afternoon to all of you attending today's Women in Leadership Luncheon virtually, of course. I'm truly honored to be a part of today's event, and I'm looking forward to spending the afternoon with all of you. Now, today is an exciting day. It will be a day of women empowerment, celebration, and inspiration, which is something I am sure we could all appreciate during these challenging times. This event could not be possible without the generous sponsors of the event, so please allow me to take a moment and recognize our generous supporters. They'll be on your screen now. We want to thank our Emerald sponsors, SDG&E, VA Haas Casino and Resort. Our Sapphire sponsors, Grossmont Healthcare District, Sharp Grossmont Hospital, Waste Management. Our Pearl sponsors, Verona Resort and Casino, Cox Communications, Home Street Bank, St. Madeleine Sophie Center, Sequan Casino and Resort, and our Opal sponsors, California Bank and Trust, California Coast Credit Union, Grand Canyon University, Grossmont Escrow, Grossmont Union High School District, Grossmont Cuyamaca College District, Integrity Employee Benefits and Insurance Services, My Point Credit Union, Padre Dam Santee Lakes, RCP Block and Brick, San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, St. Paul's Senior Services, Mail Management Group, who I do want to say would like to give a special shout out to Mail Management because they provided our Save the Date cards, programs, and of course, the all-important swag bags. So thank you to Rachel Maroney. Now you are all going to enjoy today's luncheon where we are celebrating our generous women in leadership sponsors. We thank them so much, and we sincerely appreciate your support today, of course, over the past 18 years as well. So 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage and the passing of the 19th Amendment. Throughout America's early history, women had been denied some of the most basic rights enjoyed by men, like the right to own property as a married woman, the right to legally claim money they earned, and of course, the right to vote. Women were expected to focus on housework and motherhood, not politics. Imagine that. Well, the movement for women's rights was launched in 1848 and consisted of many controversial, lengthy battles. Eventually, on August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment was certified by the U.S. Secretary of State, giving women the right to vote throughout the United States. And just 2 months later, on November 2nd, more than 8 million women voted in the U.S. elections for the first time. And just a little over 2 weeks ago, tens of millions of women across the country voted in the 2020 election. Since 1980, women have voted at higher rates than men in every presidential election. But it wasn't always this way, as voting is something we women have taken for granted for generations. Here to explain the evolution of the women's rights movement, known as women's suffrage, is Will Committee and East County Chamber Board of Directors member Rachel Maroney.
The 2020 election was an unusual one for many reasons. But lest we forget, one of those reasons was that 2020 was the 100th anniversary of us women finally getting the right to vote.
It's hard to believe that it wasn't until 1920 that brave women such as Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Lucretia Mott finally achieved what they and thousands of their supporters had been fighting for. It wasn't an easy fight, and this centennial is the perfect time to commemorate their struggle. We say centennial, but the struggle had actually begun more than a century earlier, almost immediately upon the founding of our nation, in fact. Abigail Adams, wife of founding father John Adams, told her husband to remember the ladies. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. Surprised? I know I was when I began doing research for this project, as I was by much of what I learned. Abigail was ignored, of course, and it wasn't until July 1848 at the Women's Conference in Seneca Falls, New York, that 68 women and 32 men signed a declaration calling for equality for women. A similar convention was held in 1851 in Ohio. And in reading about these two events, I learned how the fight for equal rights for women was tied to the fight for equal rights for blacks. Frederick Douglass gave a speech in support of women's rights at the first convention, and escaped slave Sojourner Truth did the same at the second. In the ensuing years, many citizen groups formed to advance our cause, and many promoted both causes simultaneously. Here's a photo of a group of women suffragists that appeared in a magazine in 1915. Here's a photo from the March 1913 Women's Suffrage Parade in Washington, D.C. All of the 8,000 women who marched dressed in long white gowns, and you can see the garland that connected them, symbolizing the chains they were bound by. Trivia time. What was the first state in the Union to grant women the right to vote? On September 6, 1870, Louisa Ann Gardner Swain became the first woman in America to cast a vote in Laramie, Wyoming. On Inauguration Day in 1917, suffragists circled the White House for 2 hours in pouring rain to get the attention of President Woodrow Wilson. Many suffragists were arrested and suffered what can only be described as cruel and unusual punishment while in jail. These arrests mirrored the arrest of Susan B. Anthony back in 1872, who had the temerity to try to vote in the presidential election that year. But that attempt to silence her backfired, as it only brought more attention to the cause. As a Quaker, Susan had always believed in equal rights for all people, of all genders and races, and she traveled the country giving speeches on this subject, written by her collaborator, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. The two also founded the publication that they brazenly called The Revolution. Finally, in January of 1918, President Wilson announced his support of women's suffrage, and it was only a matter of time before the 19th Amendment to the Constitution would pass. But still, not without more struggle. Only 15 states had granted women's suffrage at the time. What followed was 2 years of increasingly vociferous protests, with women burning copies of the president's speeches in front of the White House, and even more arrests and mistreatments. But the groundswell towards suffrage had taken off and was not to be denied. Trivia time. What was the last state to ratify the 19th Amendment? On August 26, 1920, Governor A.H. Roberts of Tennessee signed the ratification document, making voting rights for women the law of the land. This should be the end of the story, but sadly, voting rights are still under attack in some corners of the country. In 2018, for example, a voter ID law was passed in North Dakota, requiring all voters to have a street address. The catch was that there were only few street names or addresses on the Indian reservations. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld that law over the dissent of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But as with the arrest of Susan B. Anthony decades prior, it caused a backlash that resulted in a record turnout by Native American voters. Let us remember Justice Ginsburg as our most recent hero in the struggle for equal rights for women. May she rest in peace, and may her memory be a blessing.
Wow, thank you, Rachel. It is truly amazing to see how far women's rights have come. We commend those advocates who fought for our equality and are grateful for the opportunities that they afforded us today. Okay, so it seems like a good time to do another opportunity drawing, so get your tickets out. We have 2 more family 4-pack to the San Diego Air and Space Museum. And, okay. The number is 495416. Again, that's 495416. So don't forget, if you have a winning ticket, please email a photo of the ticket and your contact information to events@eastcountychamber.org to claim your prize. All prizes will be delivered to the winners after the event. There you go, Rick. Thank you. Okay. Well, each year, the Women in Leadership event features a noteworthy keynote speaker whose testimony is one of inspiration and empowerment. This year is no exception. Today, we are honored to have Catherine Matisse Zundel with us. Catherine is the founder and CEO of Civility Partners, an HR consulting firm focused specifically on helping organizations create respectful and positive workplace cultures. Her clients range from Fortune 500s to government to nonprofit and small business in a wide range of industries. Catherine is an HR thought leader and has appeared in such venues as USA Today, Entrepreneur, Bloomberg, CNN, NPR, and many other national news outlets as an expert. She's also an award-winning speaker, blogger, and book author, and estimates she's delivered presentations reaching over 120,000 people. Leadership guru Glenn Blanchard called her first book, Back Off, Your Kick-Ass Guide to Ending Bullying at Work, the most comprehensive and valuable handbook on the topic. She's truly one of the nation's few experts on workplace bullying, and she's one of the 4 founders of the National Workplace Bullying Coalition, a nonprofit focused on legislation prohibiting bullying at work. Workplace bullying is more common than you may think. According to a national survey conducted by the Workplace Bullying Institute in 2017, it's estimated that nearly 20% of U.S. workers have experienced bullying in the workplace, and another 19% have witnessed it. And those statistics appear to be increasing over the past few years. We are delighted to have her here with us today as our keynote speaker and look forward to hearing her personal story of resilience in the face of adversity. Please help me welcome Catherine Matisse Zundel.
I feel like I should be waving with that music playing. Thank you so much for having me here today. What an honor to participate in this new kind of event, virtual event. So today I want to talk with you about resilience, and I would say that 2020 has been quite a crazy year. My slide is not moving, so that's a problem. Hopefully there we go. So resilience is about overcoming a challenge. It's about overcoming stress or trauma. But it's more than that. Resilience is also about bouncing back. It's about the personal growth that comes with going through that adversity. So today I want to share with you 2 stories that I've been through, 2 things that I've been through. Sorry, the slides are slow. There we go. I'm out of a battery. Okay. Today I want to share a story with you, or 2 stories with you, about some different challenges that I've faced over the years. And through that process, I want to share with you 8 tips for resilience. So my story starts with Tony. Tony was an individual that I worked with way back when I was the director of HR internally. And I found Tony to be a bully. Tony was an uber excessive micromanager. He yelled a lot. He made life hard. If he didn't like you, he made that very clear. He would literally walk into a room and ignore the people he didn't like and really interact with the people he did. It was frustrating. I felt personally bullied by this individual. But as a director of HR, I was also dealing with all of the problems that he created. I had a lot of people in my office looking for counseling. I was in HR. I was supposed to help them. I dealt with a lot of turnover in his department. Every time I hired someone, it felt like they quit after a couple of months. And I spent a lot of time in the president's office trying to get his help and trying to get him to put a stop to this behavior. It was an exhausting experience. During that time, I decided to get my master's degree at San Diego State, go Aztecs, and my degree is in organizational communication. In my second semester there, I had a class called The Dark Side of Communication, and this class was about all things dark. It was about stalking and domestic violence and all the dark things that we do to one another. So of course I had to write a paper on something dark, and so I decided to write a paper on this person that I worked with. And it was during that process of writing that paper, I came across the phrase workplace bullying. It turns out at the time there was about 30 years of academic research on the topic, and America happens to be one of the few countries where workplace bullying is legal. Many countries around the world actually prohibit workplace bullying. It's essentially equal opportunity harassment. So I was fascinated by everything I was learning, and everything else I did in graduate school was around this topic of bullying. My thesis was on bullying. I dedicated it to the Post-it Nazi, which is what we called the bully at my workplace. And he knows I did that, so 1 point for me. So I like to joke that I actually have a master's degree in workplace bullying. Now, despite all of that research and kind of the therapy I was getting from that whole experience of being able to understand what I was going through, it also really was causing me a lot of pain. I felt helpless, that I couldn't help people coming to my office. I felt helpless personally because I felt bullied. And it was really affecting my performance. And at one point, about 5 years into working there, over the course of these 5 years, the behavior had gotten worse and worse. At one point, my boss comes into my office, and he sits down across from me, and he just says, "Catherine, what's happening? What happened to you? You are not the person that I hired." And I burst into tears, and I found myself telling him that I hated Tony, and I hated working there, and I hated what he was allowing Tony to do to the organization and to the people who worked there. And I found myself giving a 30-day notice, and I said, just give me 30 days so I can try to help, line you up, and then I'll be out. And my boss said, "Well, if you're that unhappy, you should leave now." And he watched me pack my things, and I left the office with my tail between my legs. This is a pretty common experience. The person who feels bullied gets asked to leave, and the person who's bullying gets to stay. The thing about it, though, is as I was driving home, I started to realize how much the bullying was bothering me. I hadn't recognized how much weight was on my shoulders and how stressed and depressed I had become over the course of those 5 years. And as I was driving home, literally, not figuratively, literally, the sky was brighter, the buildings were brighter, the colors on the billboards were brighter. I could feel my shoulders perk up, and I realized that even though I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent, I was feeling pretty good. So moving on, I finished out my graduate degree and got a job at a startup tech firm. They did marketing. And this was towards the end of 2008. In 2009, right at the beginning, guess what happened? The recession. So I remember one morning in February of 2009, I drove to work expecting to be there for the day. And when I got into work, I realized only us admin type of people were there. There were no tech people, and it was a tech firm. And the boss says, "Well, we're out of money, and this is a tech firm, and if you don't do tech, I can't afford you. So you're all being laid off." So yet again, I found myself driving home in the middle of the day with no job. I decided between bullying and being laid off that there were some problems in the corporate world, and instead of looking for another job, I walked in the door from that experience of being laid off, walked in the door, opened my laptop, and purchased a website. And I began pouring my heart out on the website. I spent the rest of that day building a website. Took me a couple days. And I basically built a business via this website. It was everything I wanted to be as a consultant. I listed out services and all these things that I knew. So this leads me to my first tip for you, which is to see challenges as opportunities. I could have gone home and cried or desperately tried to find another job, but I decided instead that I wanted to build this thing that had been in the back of my head throughout grad school, that I was going to take the opportunity to build a business. I saw the challenge as an opportunity. That leads me to my second tip, which is to believe in your personal mission. Now, I have a lot of stories of people telling me there's no way in heck that I could start a business around solving workplace bullying. Everybody I knew, my family included, was like, bullying's not a thing. You can't have a business around that. Why don't you be a leadership coach or teach communication skills classes? You can't have a business around bullying. I joined a professional association where they had a mentor-protege program, and I joined so I could be a protege. And they have this speed dating event where you get to meet all of the different mentors, and then kind of you get to pair up. And pretty much every potential mentor at that event told me the same thing. I don't know if I can help you build a bullying business. I did have one wonderful mentor that I met that day, and she actually came up with the name Civility Partners, so it ended up working out. I would call up professional associations and ask, hey, can I speak on the topic of bullying? I thought it'd be a great way to build my business. And same thing, no, No, we don't need a speaker on bullying. That's not a thing. So over and over again, I was hearing, that's not going to work. But I knew workplace bullying was a problem. I knew it was going to start to get attention, and I stuck to my guns, and here I am today. As Lauren said, I have had the pleasure of appearing in a lot of really cool places. I've been a talking head on CNN, written articles for Forbes, been in USA Today as an expert. I even got to appear in the Wall Street Journal in a full-page ad. Hiscox, which is my small business insurance, decided that I was kind of a badass, and they decided to include me in their I'm Possible ad campaign. So being in a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal was pretty cool. I've also served a huge array of clients, ranging all the gamut from Fortune 500s to small businesses, and it's just been a really cool whirlwind. I've seen a lot, and I'm so proud that I stuck to my guns, and I'm able to help solve this horrible problem because it really hurts. What we do for a living is a big part of who we are, and if you're going to work every day feeling abused, then it really takes you down. In fact, people who are bullied can experience anxiety and depression and even PTSD. So the fact that I get to help organizations keep that from happening is pretty cool. I've also written 3 books, one of which has a foreword by Ken Blanchard, as Lauren mentioned, and that was a pretty cool story. Ken Blanchard was speaking at an event, and I kind of snuck up to him and started talking to him about workplace bullying. He offered to write the foreword to my book, so that was neat. So I want to switch over to another story. This one's a little emotional, so forgive me if I start to cry. So a couple years into starting Civility Partners, I moved downtown. I had lived in this little tiny 1-bedroom in Ocean Beach where I was paying $600 a month. And me and my little dog Chibi, she was 4 pounds, decided to move downtown to a condo, and within about a week of moving there, I decided to take Chibi out for a walk. And I remember just walking down the street and kind of exploring and feeling so excited and seeing the Star of India down the way and thinking to myself, ooh, let's walk over there because we can. Well, that's the last thing I remember, because the next thing I remember is staring up at the ceiling of what I realized was an ambulance and feeling an EMT cut my clothes so he could figure out what had happened to me, and asking him desperately, what happened, where's my dog, I don't understand what I'm doing in an ambulance. And he kept saying, it's okay, you've been in an accident, you're okay. Turns out I was hit by a trolley. 130-ton trolley going 35 miles an hour. It knocked me out of my shoes and about 30 feet. I landed on my hip. I lost teeth. I shattered my entire face and both my wrists. I was in the hospital for 9 days. They screwed my jaw shut for a while. They actually sewed my eyelids shut so that I couldn't open it while I was healing. And now I'm full of chicken wire and screws and metal plates. I'm like the bionic woman. My doctor even joked that one day one of my screws may come loose, and I could actually claim that for a sick day. Which brings me to my next point, which is that you have to be flexible. I was hit by a trolley. There's nothing I could do about that. I have no control over how long it's going to take me to heal or what's going to happen next. I just had to go with it. I was sleeping in a hospital bed in my living room. I just had to go with it. So the thing about it, though, is that when we are going through a challenge, we often experience anxiety because we feel like we've lost control, and that's where that anxiety comes from. If you can be flexible and recognize challenges simply as something that you have to overcome and that's going to make you better and stronger, and be flexible when things don't go exactly the way you planned, then you start to feel like you have control, and that positive attitude can start to come through, and you can continue down your journey. So while I was in a terrible accident, I wasn't about to let it slow me down. So the fourth step is to create and execute a plan. And this is something that resilient people absolutely do. It's about having that control over, what's happening next. And I did this in both scenarios with my company, little by little, day by day, inch by inch. And I know there's a lot of you out there who are also entrepreneurs. That's what we do, right? Little by little. Every single day, I just kind of figured out, what do I need to do now to get to the next step? And I just kept going and going and going. In terms of my accident, same thing. Obviously the goal was to heal. And so little by little, inch by inch, I continued to heal and do things that made it feel like I was moving in the right direction. So rather than sitting in my hospital bed thinking, woe is me, I was doing little things like, I bought a little blow dryer so that I could blow dry my own hair. My mom, who lived with me for 6 weeks to take care of me, bless her, she poured milk into little jars so that I could pick it up and drink it myself, because my arms were in casts. I wasn't supposed to really do anything with them. So it was this little by little, inch by inch, that I was able to see an end goal. So step number 5 is to stay in tune with your emotions. Now, during the bullying scenario, that's something I did not do. And I didn't recognize how much the bullying was bothering me until it was over. As I said, people who feel bullied can often experience depression and PTSD. And so that's part of it, is they sort of let it go on for too long without recognizing that it's time to end the bullying and exit the organization. With the accident, I was a lot more in tune with my emotions and, in fact, stayed pretty positive. And I know that sounds cliche, stay positive. We're all in 2020 right now. But really and truly, the more flexible you can be and the more you have that little plan that inch by inch you're going to get from point A to point B, the more positive you can be. My doctors absolutely told me that the reason I healed so quickly was my positive attitude. So some of that positive attitude comes from leaning on your connections. So, I had a lot of people coming through to visit me all throughout my being at home, bedridden. But I had kind of a unique situation where I had a support system that was pretty cool. So I want to share that with you. So I couldn't drive, and so my mom was driving me places. And, I was single, and nobody was going to pay my bills, so I needed to get back to work. So I decided I'm ready to go back to work. This accident happened in December. The semester started in January. So my mom drove me to college where I taught, and she told me as we were walking from the car to the classroom that she had asked the doctor who had reconstructed my face how long it would be before I could get back to work. And the doctor had said between 4 and 6 months. And there I was 30 days later at school, ready to teach. I walked in the door, missing teeth, my face swollen, both wrists in casts. I had a hobble because I had landed on my hip. I stood in front of the room and I said, I was in an accident. This is what I look like. Get a good look at me. And now I'm going to teach the class. And I think they really respected that. They were such a support system. Every little tiny milestone that I went through, they were there for me. So for example, I started the class without teeth, but at some point I was able to get a retainer that had little fake teeth hanging off of it. And I showed up to class and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're looking good, you're getting there. So that connection, that social support is so important to being able to be resilient during adversity. I have a couple more tips for you. Tip number 7 is to have faith that the dots will connect. So if you've never seen it, there's a YouTube video with Steve Jobs. He gives a commencement speech at Stanford, so look it up. And he talks about having faith that the dots will connect. And that's always really resonated with me because when I think about my life, the dots have connected. Think about it. I went to work for a place where there was bullying. I had a class called The Dark Side of Communication where I could learn about bullying. I went on to work at a marketing firm so that when I got laid off and started my business, I had a little bit of knowledge about marketing and where to go from there. Otherwise, I think I might have just felt like, I don't even know what to do now. Where do I go? but I had this marketing knowledge. So the dots had connected. And when I think about way back when I lived in Ocean Beach in that little tiny apartment, and I was living check to check basically, because I would get one little client here and one little client there, and I'd always feel like as the month was running out and I was getting to the first and my rent was due, sometimes I'd be waiting desperately for this client check to show up so I could pay my rent. And you know what happened? Every month, without fail, or every time I was in that situation, the check showed up before my rent was due. And it was like the universe was telling me, keep going. You're not destitute yet. You'll get there. So I just always thought that was cool. The money always showed up exactly when I needed it. So have faith that the dots will connect. But you also have to consider that dots don't just show up. You have to seek them out. My last tip for you is to be decisive. So I want to share an example of this. So the most recent book I wrote was called Stand Up, Speak Out Against Workplace Bullying. And it's a collection of stories from 23 people who describe themselves as survivors of bullying. So I wanted to understand in collecting these stories, what's the difference between someone like me who really did grow from my experience versus somebody who does end up with PTSD? How does that difference happen? And I wanted to understand these people's stories. The defining factor in all of these stories is that they made a decision to end the bullying. So all the stories are going down this path of like it was getting worse and worse and worse. And then there's a decision that's made and the trajectory changes. For some, the decision was to quit. One lady tells the story of just dropping the office keys on her boss's desk and said, I quit, and she left. Somebody else decided that it was worth it to stay and fight for what was right because that was important to her. Other people decided to sue and try to take back power that way. So the defining factor, though, is that they made a decision, and that decision is where they get control from. That decision is what allows them to move forward. So you have to make decisions and be clear about those decisions and act on them. So I want to finish here with a quote. This is one of my favorite quotes ever. Viktor Frankl lived in concentration camps. He was a neurologist and a psychiatrist. And so as he sat there observing what was going on around him in these concentration camps, he was looking at this through a different kind of a lens and trying to analyze and understand, similar to me with my workplace bullying book, what's the difference between people who seem to just give up and the people who are determined to stay and fight and live. And what he found is that it was that decision, that their attitude to their decision that they were going to get through it is how they got through it. So I leave you with this quote. The last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And there are always choices to make. Every day and every hour offers the opportunity to make a decision. Thank you so much.
Just incredible, Catherine. Thank you so much. Really teaching us in those stories how to overcome adversity, taking challenges and turning them into opportunities. On behalf of the East County Chamber and everyone joining us out there today, thank you so much. Please accept our appreciation.
Thank you.
So, on that note, I think it would be a good time to have another opportunity drawing. So now we have a Sequan stay and play package and music to go with it, valued at over $800. This package includes a 2-night stay, lunch or dinner for 2, and golf for 2 at Singing Hills Resort at Sequan. So here we go. The winning number is 495331. 495331. And remember, if you are holding a winning ticket, you can send a photo of the ticket along with your contact information to events@eastcountychamber.org to claim your prize. Winner. Okay, so now let us celebrate some fantastic women of will. Over the past 17 years of this luncheon, this event has awarded over 100 women for their significant contributions to our community. They are an important part of this event's history, and what better way to celebrate women in leadership than to revisit all of our past winners today. So let's take it back to the very beginning, the very first year of Women in Leadership, 2003. Do you remember 2003? Yeah, that was the year the Cedar Fire ripped through San Diego County, burning over 273,000 acres, destroying over 2,800 buildings, and lasting for 2 very long months here in San Diego. What an incredibly challenging time for us, but through it all, we were able to rise above and rebuild this great community. That same year, we were also afforded the opportunity to launch the very first Women in Leadership Luncheon and honor the very first Women in Leadership winners. Let's take a look. Michelle Bucamp, Mary Henriksen, Jeannie McAllister, and Teresa McTeague. Congratulations, ladies, for being the original Women in Leadership recipients. Moving on into 2004, we had 5 incredibly deserving women to recognize that year. The 2004 Women in Leadership recipients were Virginia Chrisman, Margene Dean, Beverly Ireland, Harriet Stockwell, and Michelle Tarbett. Let's take a moment to talk about Michelle Tarbett for a minute. Michelle was instrumental in getting Women in Leadership started. She began her career as a nurse and steadily advanced through healthcare administration to reach the office of CEO of Sharp Grossmont Hospital in 1996. From our very first luncheon, Michelle saw to it that Sharp Grossmont was a primary sponsor, and we are so grateful that legacy of support continues today. In 2004, Michelle herself received a Women in Leadership Award. About a decade later, we lost Michelle to cancer. Those lucky enough to have known her still miss Michelle's encouragement, her example, and her spirit. In recognition of Michelle's leadership and in appreciation for her unwavering support, the Will Committee created a special annual award in her name. Known as the Michelle Tarbett Award, this special award specifically recognizes those women going above and beyond in the healthcare field. The distinctive award will continue to be a fundamental part of our Women in Leadership event for many years to come. Congratulations to all the Women in Leadership recipients of 2004, and thank you, Michelle Tarbett. We miss you dearly. For 2005, the following remarkable women were recognized as Women in Leadership: Diana Aguilar, Nancy Hample, Bobby Pearson, Diane Powers, and Deanna Weeks. Congratulations to the Will winners of 2005. In 2006, we had the privilege of celebrating 7 fabulous leaders. They were Ingrid Croce, Lois French, Shirley Horton, Bonnie LaChappa, Sandy Puglisi, Andrea Stone, and Deborah Emerson. Congratulations to the 2006 Women in Leadership recipients.
I'd like to thank Will and the Chamber of Commerce for this honor and past honors in Women in Leadership. And what does Women in Leadership mean to me? I've been involved with leadership for about 17 years, and so I just believe you get what you give, and I work hard in the community. And I think a lot of women out there work very hard to make a difference. I'd like to talk about the event when I won. It's overwhelming, also humbling to be recognized by your peers and the community at large. I would hope that many women in our community will follow into the leadership positions. I'd like to talk a little bit about my family and also the families at St. Madeleine Sophie Center during this COVID. We've had to basically redefine how we give programming to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And this has been difficult for many of us, and especially for the businesses and leaders in our community. So once again, I'd like to thank you and everybody out there in the Chambers of Commerce and the El Cajon community for what you do for the Chamber and for what you do for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Deborah Emerson. She's still doing great work. In 2007, we commended the following outstanding women: Becky Bergsteiner, Marianne Cohn, Mary England, Cheryl Hinton, Jean Straub, Dana Quittner. Congratulations to all the 2007 awardees. And moving on to the year 2008, let's once again celebrate the following exemplary women: Sheila Dine, Claire Carpenter, Lucia Cartelli, Sunita Cook, Angela Salinas, and Monica Zeck. Congrats to the 2008 Women in Leadership winners.
Good afternoon, Will awardees. My name is Bonnie Rush. Well, here we are in a virtual world right now, but in 2017, I had the distinct pleasure of being in a room full of extremely powerful women, and Rachel Morani had nominated me for one of the Will Awards, and I actually received the Memorial Award for Michelle Tarbot, a previous Will awardee who passed away. My goal has always been early detection in breast cancer, and this validated my work. Thank you.
And thank you, Bonnie. Continuing to celebrate in 2009, we honored the following women for their stellar efforts: Barbara Eldridge, Joyce Gaddis, Carol LeBeau, Jeannie Luttrell, Dolores Jacobs, and Shelley McTeague Rippengale. Congratulations to the 2009 Women in Leadership. 10 years ago, we paid tribute to 6 unforgettable women in 2010. They were Dr. Constance Carroll, Gloria Chadwick, Dee Dean, Joyce Glazer, Deborah Reed, Mary Sessom. Congratulations to the 2010 Will winners.
First of all, I want to thank Will and the East County Chamber for sponsoring this event. It is important to not only East County, but to all of San Diego. And I also want to thank you for holding the event on Friday, November 13th to help me celebrate my birthday. I remember what an honor it was to be included with an outstanding group of women in our community. Today, there are many young women who are excelling in the business world. My hope is that they will continue to be recognized into the future. In these very difficult times, there are many more challenges for all business and community leaders, and we need to support them and help them wherever we can. And with all of our efforts and support, we'll get through this pandemic.
Thank you, Joyce. In 2011, we had applauded the following remarkable women: Luann Bass, Thela Bowens, Dana Bristol Smith, Maureen Kavanaugh, Sarita Fuentes, Jill Mendlin. Congratulations to the awardees of 2011. 2012 led us to 7 incredible women leaders who were recognized for their leadership achievements. They included Dolores Buller, Ronnie Froman, Dr. Cindy Miles, Christine Moore, Lisa Murphy, Linda Townsend, and Patricia Ward. Congratulations to the Will recipients of 2012.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Koval. Welcome to the 2020 Wills event. 2018 was a very interesting and exciting year for me. I was in the East County Chamber of Commerce leadership class, the best class. And while I was in that class, I decided to run for city council. And at the same time, someone nominated me for a Wills Award, and I won. So I was very honored and surprised to be a 2018 nominee and award winner. And maybe that catapulted my confidence into being elected for city council in the city of Santee. So I currently serve as the vice mayor for the city of Santee and was up for re-election, and happy to say I won my re-election, so I have 4 more years on city council. But I learned a lot of lessons through leadership and my leadership class and the mentors, the women mentors in the WILS program. One thing I carried over, we're in the midst of a global pandemic, and a lot of our local businesses were shut down. And so I raised my hand on council and volunteered to be the liaison for all the small businesses in Santee that needed help with reopening plans. And that's what I focused a lot of my attention on the last 6 months. Once again, I want to say it was a great honor to be nominated and actually win the award in 2018. And I also want to say that I look forward to next year when we all can get back together in the same room and have a great celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. In 2013, we presented 6 outstanding women with a Women in Leadership Award. They were Dr. Christina Back, Pamela Ben-Susan, Marcy Hanna, Namara Mercer, Jo Marie Diamond, and Joanne Pastula. Congratulations to the WIL recipients of 2013. The following year, in 2014, it was a privilege to recognize these women for leadership endeavors. Peggy Buffo, Lori Steele-Cantor, Odie Goward, Leanne Kim, Pam Meisner, Beth Morganti, and Sue Schaffner. Congratulations to the 2014 Women in Leadership.
Hi, I'm Odie Goward, and I want to say thank you so much for the 2014 award I received for Women in Leadership for Business. And I want to thank the San Diego East County Chamber so much for acknowledging me, and it was a very special day that I got to share with my 2 daughters, my mother-in-law, and some of my very special friends. I was raised with a mother that was extremely strong. I'm the 9th out of 10 children, and when I was in 2nd grade, she had to go work full-time after my dad became disabled, and she literally taught us that you work as hard as you can and do the things necessary to take care of your family and for all of those that you love. However, I knew that working hard was really, really important, yet I knew that also the thing that made me feel most happy was being able to serve others. So to me, the most important thing is to make sure that we learn how to serve. We teach our children how to serve. We teach men how to serve so that we can all take care of each other. Today in history is a very important day. We are looking at possibly the first woman vice president and a woman of color. But we also have to remember that we have come a long way and we have a long way still to go. This has been a seriously horrible year for a lot of people. There are figures out there right now today that women will lose $65 billion in income this year. They are women that are 65% being put out of the workforce on unemployment due to taking care of children and all the things they need to do. My hope for the future is that we band together, we take care of each other, and when things get really, really tough, we work together to fix each other's crown. My goal right now and my challenge to each of you is to read a book that has changed many lives. It's called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And the one thing you might find out in that book, that as women, it's hard being a woman, but we can do hard things. Again, thank you.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Odie. Well, in 2015, we had 8 outstanding women that we recognized as leaders. They were Mara Fortin, Carrie Guthrie, Molly Nocon, Erica Pinto, Miriam Rafferty, Elizabeth Smith Chavez, Wendy Urashima Khan, Shelley Zimmerman. Congratulations to all the winners in 2015. 2016 presented us with 7 amazing women of leadership, and we're proud to recognize them again today. Allison Cummings, Marley J. Ehrenfeld, Teresa Kemper, Jill Myers, Dana Rivers, Kat Fields White, and Sherry Yarbrough. Congratulations to the 2016 Women in Leadership awardees.
Hi, I'm Wendy Urushima Khan, President and CEO of the Epilepsy Foundation of San Diego County. First, I really want to thank the East County Chamber and the Women in Leadership Committee for awarding me in 2015. It's great to be back. As a female CEO, every day I get a chance to advocate for others. 1 in 10 people will have a seizure during their lifetime, and 1 in 26 will be diagnosed with epilepsy. So when I think about the opportunity I have each day to advocate for others with medical differences, as a female CEO, I always ask myself, how can we lift up other women around us? It is an epic time for our nation, and especially an epic time for women. We are all standing on the shoulders of those who have come before us. So how can we help others? It might just be a compliment, a smile, an opportunity to be a sponsor or for a mentor for another female executive. How can we help? That's what I like to think about every day.
Well said. Thank you, Wendy. In 2017, we honored some incredible women of leadership. They were Michelle Bergquist, Marla Black, Christine Costa, we know her, Martha King, Wendy McKinney, Bonnie Rush, Barbara Ryan, and Van Tran. Congratulations to the 2017 WIL recipients. Heading into 2018, we were given the opportunity to applaud the following women in leadership winners: Catherine Cloward, Kristen Dreesen, Laura Koval, Fari Moini, Bethany Warren, and Lucia Washburn. Congratulations to the 2018 Women in Leadership awardees.
I'm super excited for the new WIL winners that are coming up this year in 2020. It's so fantastic when you receive this acknowledgement from the community and from your peers. I'm in an industry that was a little difficult to break into. It's male dominated, and then actually bringing women in as well and watching them become a success has been one of the greatest things in my life. And then to be acknowledged for this by this award, it just makes you want to work a lot harder. You know, I have a saying on my wall about Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's also, if you ever get an email from me, and what it talks about is that you want to be happy in life, but you always want to make a difference in other people's lives. And this award just does that. It tells you you did a good job, and what it'll bring you is energy to even work harder in the community. Thank you all, and wish you the best.
Thank you, Mary Jean. Well, we round out the 17th year with 2019. Last year, we decided to move our luncheon to Sequan's brand new event center and had a sellout crowd of over 400 attendees. It was an amazing day recognizing these exemplary community leaders. Marlene Best, Mary Jean Anderson, Linda Van Fulpen, Julie Seal Gustad, Dilquaz Ahmed, Catherine Arambula, and Diane Jacob. Congratulations to our 2019 Women in Leadership winners. Wow, so 17 years of recognizing exceptional women for their admirable leadership and selfless contributions. Let's give them a big round of applause. I know you're all clapping in front of your computer screens. Well, every single one of you are exemplary leaders in your fields, and we're honored to recognize you all again as part of this 2020 Women in Leadership virtual luncheon. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making a difference in our community and for being the inspiration to so many. So congratulations. Before I turn it back over to Christine, let's do another opportunity drawing. I really like the title, Opportunity Drawing. Okay, this is for a fabulous Barona prize package valued at over $900. It includes a 2-night stay at the Barona Resort, a $100 dining ticket, $25 in free play, a round of golf for 2, and a welcome basket. So that is going to go to the holder of ticket 495376. That's 495376. And again, if you are holding that ticket, just make sure you take a photo of it along with your contact information and send it to events@eastcountychamber.org to claim your prize. Thank you. So for some final words, we would like to turn it back over to our event chair, Christine Costa.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren. It has been a real honor to celebrate these incredible women with you. We are so thankful to have you as part of our event today, and we'd like to present these gifts to you as a token of our appreciation. Please accept these gifts and these flowers, courtesy of Bev Ireland over at Jasmine Creek. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. 101. 101 incredible women leaders recognized over the past 17 years by so many of you. Thank you to all of you who've identified them and nominated them. Without your nominations, WIL would not have been what it is today. There are so many amazing women out there doing truly remarkable things, but we need you to continue to share them with us. Please help us recognize more outstanding women by nominating someone you know worthy of this recognition for our 2021 program. The nomination forms are already on the Chamber's website. All right, we have a final opportunity drawing for this afternoon. So let's get Lauren back up here. Do you want to grab the... know who our winner is. All right, so we have a Viejas stay and play package. It includes 2 nights in a villa or penthouse suite, $100 food and beverage credit, 2 spa treatments, and a pool cabana. So let's see who the lucky winner is. Thank you. 495402. Once again, it's 495402. If you are holding this ticket, please send a photo of the ticket along with your contact information to the Chamber at events@eastcountychamber.org to claim your prize. Go. All right. Well, everyone, in closing, I just wanted to extend our sincerest appreciation one more time to Lauren Finney, Catherine Zundel, Rachel Marani for that amazing video, and the entire Women in Leadership Committee, the Chamber staff, and of course, our incredible sponsors. Thank you so much for making this year's virtual Women in Leadership such a success. This concludes our program. Thank you for joining us today. Be well, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
So again, thank you everybody so much for being here today, honoring women throughout San Diego County, true leadership in our community. We also like to bring back up Christine Costa, our chair for this year, and actually our chair for last year as well, and we'd like to give her an award here. Christine, thank you so much for your tireless effort to make us reach out to the community and just be exemplary in what we do in honoring women in leadership throughout the country and throughout the nation. San Diego County, we're very proud of all the women in leadership here, and we certainly hope to see you next year. I'd also like to ask Tanya Bradna to come up. She's our new events coordinator and really jumped in and helped us out with this event and the previous events that we did last month. And so I'd just like to recognize Tanya. Come on up here. Thank you so much, Tanya, for everything you do. And again, thank you everybody for participating today, our sponsors, everything, just an incredible day. And we look forward to being out of COVID next year and having the 19th annual in person. Have a great afternoon and enjoy your weekend. Stay safe out there, everybody.